Alright, we're going to start solving integers with addition and subtraction. We're going to use three strategies to do that. We're going to use chips, we're going to use what's called a circle strategy, and we're going to use number lines. We're going to start with the chips. So before we can use the chips, we need to understand what they represent. So for our purposes, whenever we use a yellow chip, it's going to represent a positive. Whenever we use a red chip, it's going to represent a negative. Whenever I have a positive and a negative, this would represent 1 plus negative 1. And 1 plus negative 1 makes a zero pair of 0. So to begin this problem, I have a positive 4. So I'm going to use 4 yellow chips to represent positive 4. Plus, I'm going to add 3 negative chips. So I'm going to use 3 red chips as negative 3. Looking at this problem, I can see that I have some zero pairs. So to find my answer, I'm going to remove all of my zero pairs. I have 3 of them. When I take these away from the problem, I have 1 yellow chip, which represents 1 positive. So the answer to 4 plus negative 3 is positive 1. Now thinking about the same problem without our chips. We're still going to visualize positives and negatives. So in this problem, we have 4 positives and 3 negatives. To talk it out, we're going to think, what do we have more of? Do we have more positives or negatives? 4, we have more positives. So we know our answer is going to be positive. Then we're going to ask, how many more positives than negatives do we have? We have 1 more positive than we do negatives. So the answer still is positive 1. Now we're going to look at the same problem using a number line. When we use a number line, we're going to use our base as 0. When we talk about a positive number, we're going to move to the right on a number line. And when we talk about a negative, we're going to move to the left on a number line. So to start the problem, we're starting at 0, and we need to move to positive 4. Then we need to move to negative 3, which means we need to move to the left 3 places. So if we're at 4 and we take away 3, we would be at 1 on the number line. Now let's look at some more examples using all 3 strategies. We're going to try 5 plus negative 8. First, using the chips, 5 is a positive number, so I'm going to need 5 yellow chips. Then I need to add 8 negatives, so I'm going to add 8 negative chips to my board. To solve the problem, next I'm going to think if I can make any zero pairs. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zero pairs, leaving me with 3 reds, which equals negative 3. Now let's solve the same problem using the circle strategy. Again, we have 5 positives and 8 negatives. First, ask, what do I have more of? I have more negatives than positives, so I know my answer will be negative. Next, I need to decide how many more negatives than positives do I have. 8 minus 5. I have 3 more negatives than positives. So again, an answer of negative 3. Using the same problem with a number line, again, moving to the right for positives and left for negatives. For 5, I'm going to move 5 places to the right and then 8 places to the left. So starting at 5, if I move to 0, I've moved 5 places. I need to move 3 more to move left 8 spaces, which leaves me at negative 3. Now let's look at the problem negative 3 plus negative 6. First, using our chips, we need 3 negatives plus 6 negatives. Looking at this problem, I don't have any zero pairs. Therefore, the number on my board represents the answer. 3 negatives and 6 negatives gives me 9 negatives. Looking at the same problem with the circle strategy, again, I have 3 negatives and 6 negatives. This time, because I don't have more of something than the other, I have all negatives, that means my answer will be negative. And how many negatives do I have altogether? 3 and 6 makes 9 negatives. With a number line, again, we're going to start at 0. -3 tells us to move to the left 3 places, and then again to the left 6 spaces, placing me at -9.